So we have a kayaker right here, and we have a lithium battery fire right here, probably 300 feet away. And of course, like I said, we do have wildlife.
Nancy Pelosi bought a lot of stock right before the original fire in January. It appears that there was very little regulation followed, if any, leading up to these fires.
Hey, it's Jordan. I am in Flint, Michigan, East Palestine, Ohio, Tumwa, Iowa. Please support the only independent outlet on the ground covering what the corporate media covers up.
Hey, it's Jordan with Status Coup. Breaking news overnight, the massive lithium battery storage plant in Northern California, Montery County, that was on fire a month ago, burning 100,000 lithium batteries. That sickened many, many people as far as 50 to 100 miles away, is on fire again. Let me repeat, a month later, on fire again. And residents I'm speaking with are experiencing worsening symptoms as this fire blazed overnight. It seems it is continuing even into today. Let me show you video of the fire. This is from photojournalist Alex Landos. As you could see, that is a pretty hefty plume. Let me widescreen that for you. So you could see this was overnight. So this is the remaining batteries, because not all of the lithium batteries in the plant had burned in the original fire, which started on January 16th. This is very, very dangerous. You have concerns of hydrogen fluoride, a whole lot of other toxins. When the original fire happened, as we have extensively covered here, you were having residents with nosebleeds. You were having residents with burning lungs, having residents with serious headaches, chemical rashes. I'll show you an image. This is just from 11 days ago. So this is residents who sent me pictures of chemical burns they were getting 11 days ago. So that is one resident with chemical burns on their arm when they were outside for too long. This is about 2 miles away from the plant. That resident's friend, chemical burns on their arms just from being outside for about an hour, 2 miles away from the plant, nearly a month later. And this was before the reignition of the fire. Most residents that I'm speaking with didn't even get a county alert on this reignited fire. Let me show you what went out to some of the residents, and the description of this reignition is truly, truly astounding. This went out not to all, but some residents. Community update: Vistra battery facility. Public safety agencies are in unified command due to light smoke, they called it, and fire at the Vistra battery facility in Moss Landing. United Command continues to monitor the situation, and community air particulate matter and metals monitoring are ongoing. Out of an abundance of caution, safety agencies urge residents to close windows and doors overnight. I don't know about you. Did that look like light smoke to you, this Inferno? That's not light smoke, folks. That is a massive, massive plume of smoke that is burning again a month later from the same plant that, oh, by the way, had 3 fires before all this started in January, since this lithium battery plant opened in 2021, I believe. This is absolutely nuts that the county is describing it as light smoke. As far as I know, there was no evacuation notice sent out. So residents were essentially meant to stay there as this is going on. I will show you some more. This is a post from a pregnant woman who we have interviewed before. She lives about 1,000 yards away from the plant. Again, she's pregnant, and this is what she said. It's getting worse. We could taste it choking us. Heading out. Here is what it looks like right now, not to be confused with the orange lit gas power plant steam. the smoke forward of the stacks is what's burning. I will show you. This is Liza Starr, her video as they were evacuating. Does that look like light smoke, folks? Doesn't look like light smoke to me. And incredibly, I want to show you another video, this from today, so daylight, because the fire is still going, yet no evacuation, and people are out there kayaking very close to this lithium battery plant. I mean, you just can't make this stuff up. This is a post from Matt McFall, an area resident who has been very active as far as checking into the wildlife. This is also a marine sanctuary with a lot of endangered species and rare animals. Let's take a look. You could see this is just wild. It's like the Twilight Zone. That there are literally people out kayaking as the lithium battery plant is on fire. They might not know. They might not know because the county alert didn't go out to that many residents.
All right, I would just like to point out the fact that we have wildlife here watching a lithium ion battery plant. Oh, and we have kayakers. Where'd you go? Somewhere over here. I just saw a sea otter over there. So we have a kayaker right here, and we have a lithium battery fire right here, probably 300 feet away. And of course, like I said, we do have wildlife currently being exposed to this, which I believe is hydrochloride, because that's what it smells like and that's what it tastes like.
I mean, there's a reason I call it corporate sacrifice zones. By the way, the owner of this company, Vistra, Nancy Pelosi, bought a lot of stock right before the original fire in January. It, like Norfolk Southern, some of its owners include BlackRock and Vanguard. It appears that there was very little regulation followed, if any, leading up to these fires. And after the original fire, Vistra, for sickening residents as far as over 50 miles away, offered them a $750 gift card. A $750 gift card. If you're new to this story, let me show you a clip of an interview I did with a former fire chief, Sil Casiano. He's a former fire chief from Youngstown, Ohio. He's also a hazardous waste expert. I will show you this clip because the same chemicals apply in this fire. You're talking about hydrogen fluoride, which is very toxic. I want to play you a clip of what he said after the original fire. I touched base with him this morning about this reignition, and he said the same concerns apply. Let me play this clip so you know the chemicals that residents nearby need to be concerned about.
Hydrogen fluoride is a lighter than air chemical. And what's happening there with the burning of the lithium ion batteries is you're creating hydrogen fluoride. It's part of the breakdown process of the lithium ions, and it's lighter than air. It goes up. But even if it stays on the ground, it's extremely dangerous because it's corrosive, a very strong corrosive. And if you inhale it, the major route of exposure is inhalation and contact. And because it is a corrosive, it's going to cause all kind of skin irritations, decomposition of the skins. Even as far as in extreme exposures, you can have like necrosis of the skin, where it'll actually kill whole areas of the skin. If you inhale it, you're going to get things like nausea, vomiting, nosebleeds. You're going to have problems because what happens when hydrogen fluoride mixes with water, it becomes hydrofluoric acid. So our cells have water in them. Our lungs are full of water, and it breaks down in our systems, and it's very, very toxic. And one of the things, if you inhale it, you get too much of it, you get into what's called hyperkalemia, and the hyperkalemia can actually cause cardiac arrhythmias, which may actually cause death. If you look at if you just look at any computer database like Cameo or Wiser or any of the more popular ones, or NIOSH, they all tell you an evacuation zone could be, in low wind scenarios, can be anywhere between 2.2 to 4 miles. The stuff travels, and that's just acute exposure. You can smell it between 0.5 ppm to about 4 ppm. Your IDLH, your immediately dangerous to life and health is at 30 ppm.
So my understanding, just so I'm clear, whether it is low to the ground or goes up into the air, it could still spread. And you also said, key phrase, low wind situation. We know it's not a low wind situation in California.
Yeah. It's low wind, it's going to hang more. High wind, it's going to travel, and it's going to travel pretty far. I mean, it's a pretty durable little chemical. It takes about 1 to 5 days for this stuff to break down.
Takes about 1 to 5 days for this chemical to break down. And by the way, this is what hydrogen fluoride, this is what the EPA immediately said, we're not finding it. Well, here's an expert saying, yeah, you can't really tell with a snapshot test. And by the way, a lot of the symptoms that residents have been experiencing that we showed you, because we were also on the ground covering this. Our Tina Desiree Berg spent 5 days on the ground covering this. Thank you for those who have supported our reporting to bring you that. You could support our on-the-ground independent reporting on the stories. Corporate media is clearly covering up for as low as $5 a month. Statuscoup.com/join. Support us so we could continue covering this and other corporate sacrifice zones. But residents were sharing symptoms that match the effects of hydrogen fluoride. I want to show you also, this is some of her coverage on the ground there from just, I think, 2 weeks ago. Her interview with a local resident and one of the community leaders that has really led the residents basically having to do the job of the local health department, the local EPA. Here is Tina talking with Brian Roeder, who describes the serious health issues that residents are having. This was after the original fire. Now residents are dealing with a reignited fire. Let me play this.
The official line was that the fire had gone up several thousand feet at 5 or 15,000 feet, I think they said, and that smoke had dissipated, causing no fallout or issues for the community. And that was early on. That was within 4 or 5 days of this occurring. And yet these reports of medical conditions continue to come in at our Facebook group. Fast forward, it became pretty clear by the latter part of the first week that testing was not occurring. And if it was being done by the company, they weren't releasing any results. The company had a spokesman here early. He said a few things. He said he was sorry, and then he disappeared. As far as I know, he said he was sorry.
$750 gift card.
They did give, not me. Yeah, other people needed more than I do. I'm fortunate, but they provided $450,000 through a local charitable group. We reached out to confirm there are no strings attached, so they haven't waived any rights, and it's $750 to help people who were displaced. There were 1,200 people that were forced out of their homes for 2 nights. But the perception is that, okay, the inconvenience is not what came out of this plant. The inconvenience is people had to leave their homes.
And by the way, this is a breaking news situation, so I'm getting messages from residents right now, so I will read them to you. But that same individual, Brian, he just messaged me. What is crazy is the company, Vistra, is managing the fire response with a private company. Sound familiar? If you're watching from East Palestine, Norfolk Southern, the multi-billion-dollar railroad company that derailed, they were then allowed by the federal government to handle the emergency response, in which they decided unnecessarily and I believe criminally to detonate 5 cars of toxic vinyl chloride over Ohio and Pennsylvania, sickening residents still today, even though the EPA says everything's fine and the media stopped covering it. Well, Vistra is now managing the fire response with a private company because Monterey County, where this is, California, apparently doesn't have the resources to handle the response themselves. Literally, Vistra is essentially dealing with like a private fire department. Other residents messaging me as we speak, a local resident who lives a few miles from there said, "Oh my God, my fever is 101.6, serious migraine, sore throat." Another resident we interviewed, Jody, just messaged me, "I'm coughing more this morning again," which mostly stopped after we had a lot of heavy rains and I barely go outside anymore. Now I'm coughing a lot again. I also feel a lot more tired today. I feel like I live in a fallout zone and I can't even go outside. After we had a few heavy rains, I went out just the last couple of days to sit in the backyard and get some air. And now with this again, it looks like back to not going outside again unless I absolutely have to. It's just people should not have to live this way in America. And literally, the initial fire, the Inferno that lasted for a few days, was January 16th. It was just the month anniversary, and now we have this reignition. I also want to play you another clip, this from Sil Caggiano, the hazardous waste expert and the former fire battalion chief in Youngstown, Ohio. I want to play this because he is saying that the resident symptoms do match that of hydrogen fluoride exposure. So even though the EPA is saying we're not finding that, well, other experts are saying, yeah, what you're hearing from residents does match with symptoms of hydrogen fluoride.
Hydrogen fluoride, it might be one of many chemicals that were involved. But all those people, the lady with the rash on her face, consistent with hydrogen fluoride exposure. The lady with difficulty breathing and nosebleeds, irritation of the respiratory system to the point where she couldn't breathe. She might have, sounds like she has an inhaler. She's got some underlying respiratory problem that will only get exacerbated from exposure to this stuff. And if it's in the house and you don't air the house out, she's going to keep getting re-exposed to that. And how do you air a house out when the stuff is still out there? So it's a catch-22 situation for her.
But to be clear, that was his response to the original fire. But I spoke with him this morning, and the same things apply because it's the same plant, the same lithium batteries that have reignited on fire now. I mean, it's truly, truly remarkable. And most people did not get that alert, which called this light smoke. Light smoke. Lastly, because again, this affects all of us, folks. This is the salad bowl of America. 70% of vegetables are produced here, including artichokes, lettuce, spinach, cauliflower, celery. You also have a lot of fruit farms, strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, blackberries. Let me play. This is from a town hall we covered on the ground where Tina spoke with local farmers talking about this is very likely going to contaminate crops that people around America rely on, namely vegetables.
If they test for heavy metals throughout this salad bowl of America, and they start testing how much of that comes up into the lettuce, are they going to turn in all the lettuce? Are they going to cut all the lettuce and take it to be incinerated or whatever? No, they're not going to do that. So what's going to happen is people will filter those heavy metals out of the lettuce into their body. And that's what happens with the heavy metals. So heavy metals are insidious, and these particular ones are insane. Now, we kept hearing these people say, oh, HF, that's hydrofluoric acid. That acid can eat this window. I mean, normal acid you can put in a beaker, right? No, hydrofluoric acid is insanely corrosive.
You can't just take the soil out and replace it. You know how much money, like, you know how much that is?
And again, I'll show you this one more time. This is images from February 9th. That's 12 days ago, folks. That's from two people who were outside in their yard. These are friends who were outside one of their yards for an hour. That's not a rash. That is a chemical burn. And this was about 2 miles from the plant. This was before the reignition. Barely being covered in the news, barely being, even the local news is basically just regurgitating what the company says. The company that's apparently outsourcing the response to a private fire department. I know there's a whole lot going on, and Trump is just flooding the zone with insanity. Government agencies being gutted, over 10,000 government employees fired. So we all have only so much bandwidth for emergencies and crisis. We're going to stay on this because this is a disaster. And potentially thousands of people have been sickened in this region in Northern California by toxic chemicals coming from this lithium battery plant. Please support Status Coup for as low as $5 a month. Again, statuscoup.com/join.